boast how great is my God, how great He is. The Bible says, whether we whether we decide to pray or not, whether we decide to worship Him or not, whether we call upon Him or not, still He is King. Irrespective of whether we go to Him or not, He is great. Even now, He is seated on the throne in heaven, where millions of angels are before Him, worshipping Him, and just telling how great He is. How great He is. The Bible, the prophet Isaiah, in Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 1, here is God telling, heaven is my throne. Here for humans, we think a palace will hold a throne. People go to Washington just to see the White House, how big and splendid it is. But God says, even that is not enough for me. Even this earth is not enough for me to help my throne, keep my throne. He says, the heavens, that is my throne. He said, I'm too big. You man can build a big building. Man can have a big country. Man can have a big army. But God says, that is not enough for me. I'm so great that the earth is not enough for me. He says, I'm so great that heaven alone can hold my throne. All the heavens, the space, people go to the space, people send rockets to the Mars, people send rockets to the moon. But even that is nothing before God. He says, even that is nothing. Heaven is my throne. And then He goes on to say, you know what, on the earth, with all the splendors, with the mountains, and everything we see, God says, that's just my footstool. If God is sitting there, and you're sitting, brother, the earth where we live in is just His footstool. Man goes on boasting his wealth, man goes around boasting his riches. But God says, the full earth is nothing but my footstool. God is so big. Moses, a great prophet of God, one day he said to God, God, I want to see your glory. God says, you cannot see my glory. You're just a mere man. I'm so big that you cannot see my glory. I'm so awesome, you cannot see my glory. The full earth you live in, the mountains and the splendor and the gold, everything you see is nothing but just my footstool. We are all living in this world. Man boasts of his army, man boasts of his strength. But God is saying that is nothing to me, that is just my footstool. And then it goes on to say, where is the house that you can build me? You can build me nothing for me. You can build nothing for me. Because the very breath you have, the very world you live in, is just my footstool. God is telling, I set my throne in heaven. You are just mere human beings. Whatever you bring, whatever you build is nothing. You are just living in my footstool. And that is the God we just sang how great He is. And that is the God whom we call He is great. Humans think there is power in having the big money, but humans think there is power in living a big house. Humans think there is power in having a lot of money. God says there is nothing. He says the very world you live in is just my footstool. I just use it to just kick around. Why would I say that? For all those things my hand has made, and all those things exist, because He created.
That's right.
He created everything. He created the world, He created the mountains. When I go on 101, I see the splendor of the mountains, especially after the rains. So green and so beautiful. But God says, that's just nothing. That's nothing. I made it. Okay? Maybe you see the ocean. We see the mighty river. We see the waterfalls. It looks so big. God says, that's nothing. I made it. But I said all this. just to tell you, nothing impresses God. Man can build the biggest church, that's not going to impress him. Man can gather the biggest gold, that's not going to impress him. Man can build a huge mansion, man can build a huge building, that will never impress him. God says that in the Bible. You know what will impress him? You know what will impress God? You know what will attract God? A man can be so rich, he can gather every gold in this world and go before God. God will say, nothing, I don't care. That's just my footstool. But in the Bible it says, there is something that will catch my attention. There is something that will catch my attention. Not the money, not the mountains, not the grandeur, but in Isaiah, it's written in the Bible. It's written in the Bible, it's written, he says this, but on this will I look, on him who is poor and of a contrite spirit. I said all this to say this. The great God who will ignore the gold, the great God who will ignore power, the great God who will ignore the rich and the mighty, the great God who will ignore the kings, the great God who won't care about the armies. He will say, if a man is poor, if a man is contrite in his heart, if a man is broken in his heart, if a man is crying in his heart, that is the person I will look. That is the person who will catch my attention. That is the person whom I want to speak to. That is the heart which is broken, the heart which is crying will catch God's